Howdy folks, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another unboxing video today. Today's item comes from Synido. You might recognize that name because they've sent me a few things in the past and their products seem to be pretty good quality for a really good price. So the latest thing they have sent me is right here. It's the TempoKEY W25 MIDI controller. Now you might say, didn't you already review one of those? I reviewed the K25, which was the predecessor to this. This is sort of the new and improved, if you will, the W25. Very similar, but it's got some new features and a little bit different look to it. So let's get the box open and check it out. All right, let's go ahead and get this baby open. So we've got a little plastic seal, like usual. And here's the back of the box if you're curious. All the different sides if you are curious, but let's go ahead and get her open here. Based on my previous dealings with Synido, they tend to give you a lot of accessories and things that you actually need here. So, okay, right away we see, I like this, connection guide. And they show you different ways of hooking it to a computer, to a synthesizer, to a mobile device. That's kind of cool. All right. Woo, look at this. All right, and we have a bag here. It's got a pretty nice shoulder strap. Looks like we've got, what's going on here? Clip, yeah. Okay, and oh, that's different. Okay, I don't think I've seen a keyboard bag like this before. So look at this, it's got almost like this rubbery type material. We've got a pocket on the back here. I don't see, it doesn't look like there's anything in that pocket. Then instead of having like a zip top, it's got this sort of fold over top, and then you use this to hold it closed. That's kind of different. All right, but let's go ahead and get the accessories out of the bag here. Oh, we got more stuff. Hold on. Oh, look at that. There's a snap there. Okay. Oh my. So per usual, Synido gave us a whole bunch of accessories. This appears to be a TRS MIDI to 5-pin MIDI dongle. 2 of them. Probably one for type A and one for type B. Oh, 3 of them. What the heck? Okay, come back to that. We've got some other stuff here. We've got our owner's manual. Okay. We've got USB-A to USB-C converter. Got a USB-A to USB-C cable. So I guess the reason for the converter is if you wanted to go USB-C to USB-C, you could just plug this into this end. Might have made more sense to just include a USB-C to USB-C cable, but in any case, is this a little sticker or a inspected thing? All right, so let's get this open. Anxious to take a look here. Okay, so haven't plugged it in yet, obviously, but ooh, that keypad feels nice. Really positive action on that. Oh, encoders feel really nice too. Oh, yeah. They've got some like, it takes a little bit of torque to turn them. They aren't like super just freewheeling, which I like because then you tend to not go past the control. We've got mod wheel and pitch bend wheel. Those feel about normal. We've got a bunch of buttons here and some pads. Those feel really good too. Okay, so A+ to Synido for using quality controls. Man, everything feels really good. Let's take a look at the I/O here. Okay. We've got MIDI through, MIDI out, MIDI in. So that's probably why they sent us 3 of these dongles. So you can do, if your synthesizer supports TRS MIDI, you can just plug right into it. If it supports 5-pin, you would use this to convert the TRS to 5-pin. So, and then we have USB-C MIDI as well. Well, it looks like that might be power, but it's probably got MIDI as well. We'll find out. And then we've got a sustain jack. Appears to be pretty much all of the I/O. We've got a power switch on the side. So now in some of my previous videos about MIDI devices, I've realized that a lot of people don't really understand MIDI, because I got a lot of questions that are not questions about the device, but that are just questions about MIDI. So if you don't understand MIDI at all, if it's new to you, just do a search for intro to MIDI so you can understand it. But just real quick, MIDI is the musical instrument digital interface. And what it is for is it's a standard that allows different synthesizers and controllers to communicate. Again, if you don't understand that, go ahead and look that up before you go through. But let's go ahead and try it out and see how it works. Okay, so I have plugged the W25 into my computer, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull up my screen as well. You can see I've got GarageBand up on the Mac. GarageBand is a free program that allows you to do audio stuff. So when you look here, I've got some choices. When I create a new track, I want to click MIDI track because I want to use a MIDI instrument. And so I'll click create, and that will, of course, open up a new MIDI track. So you can see the de facto track that it opens is always called Classic Electric Piano. It's still loading here, but you can see that's what it's called, and it's got some controls over here. So if I play the keyboard here, you hear the electric piano sound. Now, if I go in here and I change to something else, like let's just say I want a harp, we can switch to that patch, and so that's just the basics of how MIDI works, right? So this keyboard is controlling the computer. Now, it can control a digital instrument like the computer. It could just as easily control a hardware instrument, but that's exactly how it works. So what I'm gonna do here, let's go back, and I'm gonna choose some sort of a synthesizer type of sound. Let's do, I don't know, we'll pick a lead. So like if I push this note, you can hear that modulation happening, or you can hear the pitch bend happening. But it's way beyond that. We've got all these other controls, like an arpeggiator. So you can hear what that kind of does. If I pick the chord button here, then you can see I've got different chords that I can, you can see, back to here. I've got different chords that I can choose. So I can choose a major chord, so you can see here, if I hold the chord button and I hit this ninth, then it goes to a ninth chord, seventh chord, or just a triad, right? So I can change that. And then I can, of course, change the key. So you can see that's a G9 there. Okay, so all of these controls can also be mapped to different parameters to control within the synthesizer. And so, for instance, here, if I play a note and I turn this control, that's going to change the volume. So we can hear it get really quiet or really loud just by me turning this. I'm not touching anything on the computer, obviously. Or we can turn this, and we can hear that modulation come in. Not much happening there. But you can map any of these parameters to whatever you want. You can also map these to different controls. Now, in addition to the arpeggiator, the chords, all those different things, we also can transpose the keyboard in its most simple sense. So if I hit this button here, or this key, we get a C. But I can shift it, so now we get a B, or an A sharp, or an A, or a G sharp, or whatever I want. Or I can shift it the other way. Now it's a C sharp, or a D. You get the picture. I can also shift it an octave at a time. So the octave shift is really nice because sometimes you're trying to play something down here and you just run out of keys. So you can shift that octave. Oops, wrong way. You can shift that octave. There we go. And you've got a lot more, space to work with. Then you play a lead later on in the song and you need to get way up high. So you can shift those different ways around. So that's actually really nice. And the way that this works, you can see here, if you transpose that downward, that lights up, upward, and now we're at flat, upward, that lights up. If you click it again, see it goes to 2 there or 3, but this stays lit to tell you you're above, you're transposed above. And same thing with the octaves, 1 octave, 2 octaves, so on and so forth. And if you go up, this one lights up. So the scale function that it has is kind of neat if you're learning. So what you can do is you can click the scale button here, and you can see it's currently set to a D minor scale, but you can change that. If you hold the scale button down, you can pick any scale you want. So like if I wanted A, so then you can see it goes to root A. And then if I wanted it to be major instead of minor or whatever, I pick one here. So let's say I wanted a Dorian. So you can see it's an A Dorian. Now what happens is no matter what I play, I'll be an A Dorian. So look at this. If I go, you can see that note and that note are the same because it knows to be in a Dorian mode. Again. So no matter what I play, I'm going to be playing an A Dorian, even if I'm playing keys that are outside the A Dorian scale. Doesn't matter what I'm playing. I was playing a minor scale there, but it's playing it in Dorian. One other thing I would like to show you here, you can see that I am plugged into the computer here. So that is sending the MIDI signals to the computer, but it's also sending power. But look, if I unplug this, the keyboard stays on. You can see there's nothing else plugged into it, but the keyboard stays on. That is because the keyboard has an internal battery, and you can see the battery indicator right there. It's fully charged right now. Some of you are probably asking, how do I map all these, as you were saying? Well, they have a downloadable editor that you can find online, and here it is. It's the Synido TempoKEY W25. They have this at their website, and you can see it kind of looks like the keyboard. It kind of shows you what's going on. So you can see here, like each of these pads, I can go in and I can change for what I want it to do. So this is currently set to do an E2, and this is funny because I disconnected from GarageBand, and this actually has a built-in synthesizer. So if I play this now, so you can see it actually has different things built in here. So even if you don't have a program like GarageBand, you can still make sounds with it, which is actually pretty neat. So let's just take a look at this first pad here. So you can see it's set to send an E2 on channel 2, and I have channel 2 over here to set to the soprano sax. Of course, I can change this to anything I want. If we want to change it to, let's change it to a bass. Let's change it to an acoustic bass. So then when I hit this, we hear the acoustic bass, E2. So let's say I want to change that note. What I do is I just go here, and let's say I want to move it way up. Let's say I want to go to like a C6. Huge change, right? So then I do send to hardware. Okay, it sends it over. Huge difference. Let's go back to that E2. But let's go back to, oops, wrong way. Let's go back to that E2, right? My gosh, where is it? F2, E2, right there. So we'll set it back to the E2 and hit send to our hardware. And so that's how you do that. And the same thing here. So different synthesizers, whether they be hardware synthesizers or software synthesizers, they have these parameters called CCs. And so you can see this is set to send CC number 7 on channel number 1. So that's what it's going to do. If I wanted to send that on a different channel, I could change that here. Like if I wanted to send it on channel 3, I could do that. If I wanted to have a different CC, so maybe I want this one over here to be CC 11, I could do that, right? And then again, I would just send it to the hardware, and then now those things are changed. Now, I'm not sure what those parameters map to in this particular synthesizer they have built in. But if you check the guide that comes with your synthesizer, if it's a hardware synthesizer or whatever, it will tell you exactly what all these things do. Another thing that's kind of cool is you have 2 banks. So you can see here, I can have this one set where this is set to parameter 16 on channel 1 on bank B. Then on bank A, I can have it set to 7 on channel 3. So the way that I do that down here is over here, you can see I have pad bank and I have knob bank. So I would just click that, and then now I'm in a different knob bank. So now I'm in knob bank B, back to knob bank A. And you can see the button changes color to show you which one that you're in. So you could have 2 sets of knobs defined. So you've got 9 knobs here, but you could have 18 parameters defined. So if that particular synthesizer had 18 different things that you could control with knobs, you could do all of them right here. So it's really neat. It's really powerful. Okay, just to show what else this can do, here I have my iPad, and you can see I have GarageBand pulled up on the iPad. Nothing special there, but you can hear that it works. Again, I know it's probably not the greatest sound because it's just ambient sound coming out of the iPad. But what you can see here, I've taken the cable and put the little USB-C adapter, and I'm going to plug it into my iPad here. Okay, and then now when I play this, we should hear it on the iPad. Not just that though, all the other things will still work. So if I play like an arpeggio, or a chord, there we go. And of course I can change this to whatever I want, or pick a different patch on here. So there you go. That's kind of how it can work with a mobile device. Notice I didn't have to load any drivers or anything. It just works. You just plug it into iOS, Android, Mac, Windows, and it's just going to work because it's just going to recognize the operating system native drivers. Let's try it with a hardware synthesizer. Okay, so one more demo here. You can see I've taken the W25. I've used the little MIDI adapter here to make it to a standard MIDI cable, and I'm plugging it into my Dave Smith Mopho over here. So now what'll happen is when I play this, it will play the Mopho. Now, of course, if I change the patch here, you get the different patches. Now, since the keyboard is controlling this, all these knobs are still controlling the synthesizer. So if I hit a note and we turn one of these, we'll hear that do whatever it was intended to do. So, as you can tell, you can still do all of these things. But if you had the right parameters, so if you looked up in the user's guide for this and you were to map these parameters, you could map all of these controls to these controls right here, and then you wouldn't even have to touch this. So let's just see if anything happens to be close. It's definitely the volume. So you hear that. We can hear that's doing something. Or if I go into scale mode here, I can hit all the black keys, but I'm still playing within the Dorian scale because that's what that scale mode is doing. So pretty cool. All that still responds. And of course, these pads can be mapped as well. So by using the controls that are built into the synthesizer and the controls here, you can do a whole lot of different things. And that's what's really fun about these, to use a controller on a hardware synth. So there you have it, folks. That was an unboxing, quick overview on the Synido TempoKEY W25, their sort of new improved MIDI controller with the piano style keyboard. Honestly, this is giving you a lot of features for the price. And by the way, you can buy it through their website. Price at present is around $170. And again, I love the feel of all of the controls. The previous version had sliders here, but this has actual tactile wheels, which is nice. The key bed feels great, which I know some other controllers in that price range have a very cheap feeling key bed. This one is not. And these pads feel really great too. So again, not a bad deal. Synido does seem to make pretty good stuff. So if this is what you're in the market for, you know, that might be a great option for you. Once again, it is a MIDI controller, so it does not make any sound. There is no audio output. It is only used to control other devices, be them software or hardware. If you like what I do on this channel, please hit that subscribe button for me. And if you like this video, go ahead and slap that like button. That really does help out the channel, and I always appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys soon.